Back in 1999, ECHS was kind of like the Wild West, where anything could and did happen. The school actually owned an original Miss Pac-Man arcade game. The internet only worked probably about 2 days a week. The school didn't occupy the whole building where Heritage is now, and from my classroom, you could often smell smoke from the workers that were taking a break at the business next door. At the school dances, it was a common sight to see people slow dancing with fake plants like this. Mr. Roner taught history, and I remember he had a historave in his classroom where he gave a history lecture in the middle of really loud music and a smoke machine filling his classroom with a really thick fog. We had an assembly with a local government leader who later went on to serve jail time for corruption. I once even saw a student in the middle of the lunch period taking off his pants right in the middle of the multi-purpose room, but luckily he had a second pair of jeans on underneath the jeans he was removing. Anyways, it was a weird time, and there was a student named Sarah Fulton who was in my advanced math class, and she suggested to me that we have a day dedicated to math. I thought it was a great idea, so we decided to dedicate it to John Saxon, the author of some of our math textbooks. We did a bit of research and found out that he had actually already passed away, but the anniversary of his death was coming up in November, and so Saxon Day was born, and we've celebrated it the last day before Thanksgiving break every year since then. At the first Saxon Day, I remember some students and I played a live song with real instruments, copying the Backstreet Boys song "I Want It That Way." It was called "It's Finally Saxon Day." One student told a really tricky math riddle. Another student that was actually a pretty talented singer-songwriter composed and performed a really touching ballad that talked about the widgets and fangles in one of the problems from the advanced math book. Another student made his own video, which is the very first video, which was kind of difficult to do with the technology at the time, where he basically accosted random strangers in public and asked them questions about math. Some of the people he talked to answered his questions. I think it ended with someone pushing him into a public fountain. Mr. Endeman, who taught chemistry and calculus at the time, created a live-action skit focused on the adventures of 5 superheroes based on the Fantastic Four, called the Fan Saxon 4.9. Their names were Reflexa, Commutida, E, Pi, and the fifth one, the .9, was the imaginary member I. I remember I laughed so hard watching that I was crying. Over time, he created over 20 different movies, wrote hundreds of pages involving an entire superhero cinematic universe with a really confusing and complex background. These skits became a tradition every year. They ranged from a mashup of Phantom of the Opera and Harry Potter to a Star Wars themed skit where there's a character named Yodel, who may or may not have been played by a student who's now a teacher at our school, who sang a song with the refrain, "Ho-dee hi minus hi-dee ho over ho-ho." We filmed the first Saxon Day, and we sent a VHS tape of it, which I think has been lost now, to Saxon publishers. John Saxon's children actually wrote to us later and expressed their delight that we had come up with this day dedicated to their father. And the president of the company, Frank Wong, sent us a video the next year where he gave us a tour of their headquarters. He had actually been stumped by the riddle that the student had shared at the assembly, and a few years later he even visited our campus and did a whole assembly, and afterwards he got mobbed by students who had asked him to sign their calculators and math books. It was a lot of fun. All the years since, I guess over 20 years now, have kind of blended into each other, and the different skits, videos that we've created have kind of all blended together. I've forgotten some of them. Most of them have been lost because as the students have graduated and moved on. But Saxon Day is an important charter tradition that represents 2 things for me. First, it's a willingness to sing, dance, or just look dumb in the name of math, which is a really important part of our curriculum at Charter. But more importantly, I think it sets us apart as a community that's willing to take some time out of our schedule every year to just laugh at ourselves and be a little unique. At most other schools, you probably wouldn't be caught dead doing something that appears to be so nerdy. Sometimes in our skits or videos, we don't sing on key. Sometimes our videos are poorly edited and you can't hear what people are saying. Sometimes ideas that seem funny at the time get a little out of hand and even get us into trouble. Might know something about that. But as we've continued this tradition over the years, I think Saxon Day has become representative of our school culture and our values. We can be really weird, and that's okay. That's why, even in the midst of this pandemic, we wanted to keep Saxon Day alive and continue the tradition. Mr. Booth and the math teachers have worked really hard behind the scenes. ASB has decided to provide lunch for you all. So hopefully Saxon Day will be one of the things that you remember about your time here at ECHS. Maybe toned down and pared back a little bit this year, but it'll bounce back stronger than ever in the future. And we want you all to be a part of it. Happy Saxon Day.